Watch this one, watch this one. Woo! Now, at that part, something God showed me. He said, did you notice how smooth Loki was able to knock dude out? I mean, he came down the stairs real clean, right? Real clean. And that was it. You know why? That man was actually supposed to be defending the man that Loki actually wanted. See, the enemy will come into your life because he knows if I can get behind your guard system, if I can sneak in behind your defenses, that'll make it easier for me to access what I really want. It didn't seem like that's what he wanted when I met him. It didn't seem like that's the way the relationship was going to go. And so he snuck in and he crept in behind your defenses. I don't want to introduce him to Pastor Marcus or Pastor Tony because I don't want them to turn him away, or I don't want to bring her around the church because I don't think they'll fit in. What are you doing? You're allowing the enemy to sneak up behind the defenses that God has put in place to protect your life. And then you wonder why this happens. There's certain places the enemy does not have access to. There's certain things he just does not have access to. And so what God began to deal with me about, he began to say, be careful of your relationships. Because if he doesn't have access to you, he'll find somebody that does and use them to get in. If he can't get to you, Brandon, he's going to find somebody around you that he knows is close enough to your heart. And he's going to use them almost like a segue to introduce himself into your life to get to that treasure you have and begin to cover it up. Evaluate your relationships. The Bible tells us in 1 Corinthians, the 15th chapter, it says, be not deceived. Evil communication corrupts good manners. In other words, bad companies, what? Corrupt good morals. The Bible also tells us, blessed is the man that walks not in the counsel of the ungodly. What is it talking about? Those that are not allowing those who are not speaking the word of God into their life. We have to come to a place where we are conscious of our relationships. You don't have to be buddy-buddy with everybody. Matter of fact, if you're really called to do something for God, chances are you're not going to have a lot of friends. Somebody told me your calling is kind of like a bird's nature. See, if you're called to be a chicken, you can stay on the ground with all the chickens. But if you're called to be an eagle, eagles soar by themselves. They said the eagles soar alone. You don't see a flock of eagles. You see a flock of seagulls, but you don't see a flock of eagles. Why? Because eagles soar at such a height and such a speed that other ones can't fly around it. They create such a force as they move through the atmosphere that it would be impossible for other eagles to fly and stay that close around them. What are you saying? You need to check your relationships. Who's close to you? And you can always understand your level when you look around at the level of the people that you're connected with. Some of us think we're eagles, but we're flocking around with chickens. You called to soar, but you're looking for hen feed. You walking around in the lot with the rest of the birds, the yard birds, as my uncle would call them. We're called to soar. Go ahead, go to the next clip. Once the enemy has gotten access to your life and he's taking control of the very thing he wants, he becomes more bold. he begins to reveal his true identity. His plans come to the forefront, and he shows this is the true reason why I've really come to your life. I came in a nice jacket and a nice tie, but now that I'm close enough to you and I have what I want, I can truly show you who I am. And if you can think about it, had this man come to the door, it would have been a whole different reaction. And so he had to camouflage himself in order to get that access. And once he had it and got his hands on what he wanted, he said, now I can show you who I am. The enemy, once he gets control, once he gets what he wants, he begins to really reveal himself. Why? Because he walks around in pride. He wants to say, oh yeah, I'm bad. I got you. You used to be a prayer warrior. Now look at you. You don't even go to church anymore. Oh, I got you. I'm bad. You used to be a virgin. Now everybody on the block done called your name. I got you. I'm bad. I got you now. He becomes bold. He becomes strong. He becomes to say, listen, I got this. Now, this car that he blew up, there was police coming. There was police coming. God began to show me how some people around you will notice when you're in trouble. And they will come and try to help. But if you allow, the enemy will be in such a control that he will stop the help from coming. Have you ever been, now check this out, I've done this, when people came and tried to help me, but I didn't want to hear them. I'm okay, I got this, don't worry about it. I stopped my friends, I stopped my family, I stopped my pastor, I stopped the people that I knew God, I stopped them all. Because he had control, he had what he wanted, he was covering up my glory. Keep going, I'm gonna get this, it's gonna get real good, watch this, keep going.
Kneel before me. I said, kneel!
Since the beginning, the enemy has wanted what God had all the time. Since the beginning, he's wanted worship. He's wanted bowing. He said, I will be exalted to be just like God. And as the angels bow to him, they'll bow to me. And so his purpose is to get the power in your life and then cause you to kneel. Cause you to bow. The Bible tells us in Exodus, the 20th chapter and the 3rd verse, it's the first commandment. It says, thou shalt have no other gods before me. And the enemy knows this is one of the commandments, the first commandment. And the first thing he says is, oh, really? He said, I can put a God in their life that'll cause them to bow. Do you know that when the enemy tempted Jesus, what did he say? I'll give you all the kingdoms of the earth. I'll give you everything that you see before you if you will bow. He said, I want to take the very essence of God and have it subjective to me. And since he could not get Jesus to bow, now he wants to work on you. Since Jesus refused to bow, he said, well, if I can't get Jesus, let me try to get Lottie. If I can't get Jesus, let me try to get Chanel. Let me get somebody to bow. Because he wants that worship. You were created to worship. You were created to bow. But you are not created to worship and to bow to false idols and things that come into your life, misidentifying themselves in order to gain access to the intimate places of you. Something I realized about this, right, if you look at the part of the video, he surrounded them. He surrounded them. And made them feel like they had no place else to turn. He made them feel like I am the only direction you can go, so you might as well bow. In other words, fear me, be afraid, because I have cut off all your access points. And so now you have to bow. The enemy doesn't care what makes you bow. He just wants you to bow. He don't care what makes you bow. You don't have to love him. You don't have to hate him. You don't have to, it don't matter. But as long as you hit your knees when he says bow, that's all he really wants. But God is saying, I'm looking for some people who will refuse to bow. Woo! God is looking for some people who will not back. Go ahead, play, because I got some other stuff. Play. You gonna get